My name is David Ebershoff, and I wrote the book, The Danish Girl. It was almost 20 years ago that I first read about Lily Elba, and I was fascinated that she was a trans pioneer. I was fascinated in the fact that she was married and that her wife played a role in her transition. And then there was this whole other element about art and painting and creation that really resonated with me.
I was sent David's fabulous book, and when I read it, I was astonished that this story had lain buried for so long, and I was amazed that this account existed.
Tom had been interested in this project for a long time, and when he finally committed to make the film, we all understood and completely respected that he would have a very specific vision.
I read this script and fell in love with it immediately, and I remember I wept 3 times when I read the script, which is very unusual. And to this day, it's the best first draft I've ever read. And so I sort of fell in love with it and always dreamed of making it.
Okay, here we go. Roll cameras, please. Action.
Eddie Redmayne was my very first thought. He was who I wanted to cast when I read the script.
Just checking the lights with the foundation. I think waistcoat on because I think...
I sat down to read it knowing nothing about it, and I was profoundly moved by it. I found it a story unlike anything I'd read. It was a unique and deeply felt love story about 2 incredibly special human beings. And it was also a story of courage and authenticity, and I was blown away by it.
I knew how extraordinary he was, and finding an actress who could match him scene to scene, beat for beat, was not easy, and I felt so fortunate that Alicia Vikander existed.
She's a force of nature, Alicia. She's just the most extraordinary talent. And she has this deep, visceral relationship with her emotions, and she challenged me and raised my game continuously.
I was always just touched by the very extremely complex and difficult journey that they go on. To be able to work so close with Eddie and Tom was quite extraordinary. Tom has that emotional intelligence needed to treat a subject and their journey with delicacy and sensitivity.
The extraordinary thing with Tom is he has such a minute knowledge of every single piece of information, and yet he relies entirely on instincts. It's all about how it feels and how it plays.
I need to see Einar.
Let me help, please.
I need my husband. Can you get him?
I can't.
I need to talk to my husband. I need to hold my husband. I need him.
Once I'd visited Copenhagen, I wanted to shoot there because it's an extraordinary city that's so well preserved. But also there was a certain austerity to Copenhagen that made me understand Einar's art and where he was coming from, and made me marvel at the journey that this first transgender pioneer came from that city, because, you know, it is ultra-conservative, it is patriarchal, and I felt like I wanted to capture some of that, almost the sort of constriction of that place, and it's there in the aesthetic. I got very inspired by the paintings of Hammershøi, who's a wonderful Danish artist. So we decided to build a replica of Hammershøi's apartment based on the paintings. I threw Danny Cohen the challenge of lighting the film in the style of these wonderful paintings and trying to capture this incredible softness of the light you get in these long, extended summer evenings in the north.
Certainly place and location was such an important element to this story. The idea that these were artists and they were part of a bohemian set, and they worked within the context of theatre as well, and dance, and quite often artists can be at the forefront of change and freedom.
Part of what I love about this story is the era. We're lucky because it's such a textured, interesting, colorful epoch. It bore so much energy and life and change, and just like the wardrobe as it changed for women with the expectations and the attitudes that women had about themselves.
Gerdon loves a scandal. Look at the way she dresses. Flaunting her ankles.
I don't think anyone is likely to be corrupted by seeing my ankles.
With Paco, the stylist, I've tried to make sure that Ulla was ahead of her time, but still, You know, it still made sense. It was still organic to the story. She's a ballet dancer. She's in the theater. She's a diva. She's famous. And she's going to do what she wants.
Fashion is fascinating because it's a reflection of society and the social problems that people are living. We wanted to create, at the beginning of the movie, a sort of like more repressed society in Denmark. It was a sort of like very laborious, industrious, and proper bourgeois society. And in a way, Einar was self-contained in himself not letting Lily to come out, because the society around him didn't allow him really to do it. It was quite the opposite.
Paco's costumes are amazing, and the makeup, obviously, what Jan did with the makeup. Oh my God. The first time I saw Eddie in the test was like, chills.
Jan Searle reunited with Eddie Redmayne after their great success on Theory of Everything. It was sort of finding that physical vocabulary of transformation to support the journey Eddie was doing emotionally.
We start him off very straight, very stiff, and then as he progresses, he becomes softer. We start to add little bits of makeup in, just to add little bits of femininity and soften him through, We have the scenes where he's starting to play with makeup, lovely scenes. And then the first moment, he goes to the artist ball where Lily, I suppose, first appears. And then the confusing side of it, where he now realizes that he's now let this thing out. And so then he starts dressing as Einar. But actually, there's something not quite right. And again, this is where we add this little bit of femininity. And most of it, of course, is done by Eddie. The way he moves and walks. I mean, it's a wonderful journey, a lovely emotional journey, I think, for Eddie to do.
In the preparation process, we worked quite intricately and intimately on the script, and he then allowed me the freedom to work with Alex Reynolds, who's a wonderful movement coach I work with, and she just has a wonderful sensibility, and she knows me pretty well, and she knows what I react well to and don't, and part of it was about Lily's extraordinary capacity to be free and to be herself. Part of this process, working with Alex, was about freeing myself up to be in a place to really be able to access Lily's story as truly as possible.
It's not just the way he looks, which is extraordinary, and he is beautiful, but he's worked so hard on how to move and to stand and how to hold himself.
Lily.
It was so evident when we were doing certain scenes that when Lily appeared, it was so just clear and authentic, and you could just see the ease that went over playing those scenes. I could just lose myself in getting to know Lily.
The Danish Girl has that theme of someone who has a block between them and the best version of themselves, or in this case, a block between them and who they actually are. And the agency of transformation is this incredible force of love from Lily's wife.
We enter into this story very much through Gerda's eyes, and she is our translator into this journey. She really takes us there through all the levels of fear and anger and mystification, and yet support.
The fact is, I believe that I'm a woman. Inside.
And I believe it too.
This love story, it's based on a marriage, how Gerda stays with Lily. And when Lily becomes so depressed, she's going to do everything she can to help her become the woman she wants to be.
You're still angry with me?
I'm not angry with you. I'm worried about you.
You heard my wish, Gerda. When no one else could hear me. You did.
It is a feat of writing. Lucinda proves that a story as fascinating and unique as this one is ultimately a story that we all can connect to. It's human. It's about love.
I think Lily's story is important for all of us because it's a story of vision and courage. You are talking about a person who's never heard the word transgender.
For what we are attempting, I need you to be strong.
I think it is amazing to tell this story in this time now, and it's so obvious that people are becoming finally more aware. The information is getting out for the whole transgender community. It's finally a time when you can see some proper change. So I'm just very humble and very, very proud to be part of this film.
The more we can work to be allies of the transgender community and help drive the evolution towards acceptance, the better. And if in any small way this film can help that, that would be wonderful. But I offer it from a humble position of knowing it's a very complex subject. But I hope it will move people to greater acceptance.
I hope that audiences are as moved by the love story that is the ground rock of The Danish Girl as I was when I read the script. I hope that they fall for these two wonderful women who challenged each other, who challenged society, who were pioneers. And I hope through their story and through their love that they can galvanize us to aspire to live an authentic life.